Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is my week 35 wrap up. So obviously I just completed week 35. This would also be the completion of my 6 week on maintenance. I am currently on the dose of 7.5 milligrams and I had an interesting week to say the least. So last week my number was 220.3 and this week as of yesterday, which was September 13th, my number was 221 even. So that means that I would have gained 0.7 pounds in the week. But the interesting thing is that on Monday, I weighed in at 218.9, and on Tuesday, I weighed in at 218.3. So I did not weigh in on Wednesday or Thursday. So in order to get to 218.3 to 221 in 3 days means I would have gained 2.7 pounds, which obviously did not happen because that would mean that I would have to have eaten an additional 10,500 calories above the calories that I burned from working out and from just my natural BMR. So if I go by the number of calories burned on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from working out and my BMR, according to Apple Fitness, I burned 9,606 calories on those 3 days. So in order to make up for that deficit and to gain the 3 pounds, approximately 3 pounds, I would have had to eaten 20,106 calories. Obviously, I did not do that. I ate somewhere between 1,800 to 2,000 calories on each of those days. So what happened? On Wednesday, I went out to lunch with a colleague. We went to a New York style pizza place. I had 2 slices of pepperoni pizza. And on Thursday, I went to Five Guys and I had a cheeseburger, the regular cheeseburger, which is 2 patties without the bun. I had it in a bowl, kind of keto style. So obviously what happened is that I introduced some trans and saturated fats and sodium that triggered my body into an inflammatory state. This isn't the first time this has happened, especially with pizza. I think I've had pizza 2 or 3 times previously to this, but each of those times was like a day or 2 after my shot, so they were early within the week. So I had time to work its way out of my system by the time I weighed in for my official weigh-in on Friday, the following Friday. This time, though, I had the pizza at the end of the week along with the burger. So I think that really triggered an inflammatory response within my body. So that's something to keep in mind. There are certain foods that we can eat that will trigger this inflammatory response. So your weight may fluctuate due to that response and hormonal imbalances that the foods can trigger. To further bring this home, this morning, Saturday, which is the 14th, I weighed in again this morning and my number was 219.1. So I'm down almost a pound just in a day, 24 hours. So I think that inflammatory response is working its way out of my system and hopefully it should normalize either by the end of today or by tomorrow morning when I weigh in. This is not a panic thing for me. I enjoyed the food. I don't regret eating the food, but it's just something that people need to keep in mind while we're on this journey is that there are certain foods out there that can trigger these kind of responses and the fluctuation within our weights. And I guess it's a non-scale victory. When I went to Five Guys, I was setting my food up and I tossed my hand to the side like this and my wedding ring flew under the trash can. So I'm going to either have to get it resized or potentially buy a new one because it is now too big for it to stay on my hand securely. I think that's something to be excited about. Hopefully I won't lose the ring in the next few weeks. I'll have to be more mindful about how I throw my hand around so it doesn't fall off. You all know that I've been dealing with this sleep apnea thing. I requested a sleep study to confirm that I can get off of the machine or at least lower my pressure and that I'm training towards getting off the machine. Now, the surprising thing is I did the sleep study. It was an at-home sleep study. The previous sleep studies that I've done were all lab-based. So this was a little different for me. But the results of the sleep study were surprising. The diagnosis is that I still had severe sleep apnea, and they prescribed my pressure to be set between 8 on the low end and 15 on the high end, and then let the automatic pressure adjust to where it needed to be within that range in order to manage my apnea events through the night. So I got the machine and it was unusable for me. The first 3 nights I tried to use it and I had to take it off because the pressure was just killing me. It was blowing my mouth wide open, drying my mouth out, drying my throat out. I couldn't sleep. So I went in and found the settings to lower the pressure, and I lowered the pressure to be between 4 and 6, and that was manageable for me. But the pressure was still too high. The pressure was generally setting between 5 and 5.5, and even that felt too high most nights. And the air was a little bit too strong, and it was still blowing my mouth open at times, but it was more manageable for me to deal with. But I continued to wear it because it would send compliance results to the sleep doctor and whatnot. So sleep doctor offices called me last week and asked how things were going. And I told them it's been horrible because I don't understand how I could lose 95 pounds and you guys prescribed me a pressure that was higher than what it was during my last sleep study, where they put the pressure at the high pressure at 14. And they were saying that maybe there was a flap in the throat where it was still probably fatty and had lost the weight, and that could be contributing to it. So I had a question as to how come on the second night of the sleep study, where they had me wear the CPAP along with their machines, they had apnea events per hour registered at 7 per hour, whereas my CPAP machine had me down at 2.2. So something was obviously off there. So what he suggested is that I reset the pressure to be at a minimum of 5 and at a maximum of 10, and see how that goes for me. And again, horrible. The first night, the machine set the pressure at 7.5, and I had an average of 4.2 apnea events per hour through the night. Mouth was blown open, throat dry, mouth dry, felt like sandpaper. The next night, the machine set the pressure at 8, and I had 13.2 apnea events per hour. Again, going in the wrong direction. The higher the pressure goes, the more apnea events I have. And that is just symptomatic of the pressure causing my apnea events. And then on the third night, and he asked me to do this for 3 weeks. On the third night, the pressure got set to 9, and I had 14.8 apnea events per hour. So again, pressure goes up, more apnea events. So I sent him screenshots of what was going on and told him this is not sustainable for me. I cannot do this for 3 weeks. I need to set the pressure back. So he told me to go ahead and set the pressure back and schedule a follow-up appointment with my primary, which I don't understand why I would go to my primary when I'm working with you. So I set the machine back to be between 4 and 6, and it didn't reset the pressure. The pressure that night got set up to 12 for some reason, despite me narrowing the pressure between 4 and 6. That produced 30.4 apnea events per hour through the night, and I was miserable through the night. I got it the next day and did some research as to how come it didn't stay within the parameters that I set of 4 and 6. And there's another setting in there called Smart A, which changes the automatic pressure based on certain criteria, despite you setting these parameters. So I turned that off. I guess that was on the whole time. And that's probably why I was feeling the additional pressure even before he told me to change the settings to 5 and 10. The results were great. The first night, the pressure got set to 4, and I had 0.0 apnea events per hour. The next night, the pressure got set to 4, and I had 0.6 apnea events per hour. And the third night, the pressure got set to 4, and I had 1.1 apnea events per hour. So this just solidifies within my mind that any apnea events that I'm having are related to the pressure itself. The sleep doctor's office is just not trying to hear it. I told him, look, I lost 95 pounds. There's no reason why my apnea pressure should be, my CPAP pressure should be as high as it is. If anything, I should be trending off of it. And I told him about the tirzepatide sleep apnea study, clinical trial, and the results of that, and told him that I was on this medication as well. So I would fully expect, if I'm not supposed to continue to wear this machine, that I should be trending in the direction of being off of it eventually. So we'll see how this goes. I'm of the mindset that I no longer need it, but I'm going to continue to use it at this lower pressure. I have it currently set between 4 and 5, I believe, and I have that Smart A setting set off, so it's not adjusting the pressure above where I have the parameters set. So far, that's working good for me, but even then, I still have moments where the pressure feels a little bit too high. So I will continue to use it for now, but eventually I'm going to stop using it, especially if I can't get in to see a doctor about it soon. That's my week in a nutshell. I hope everyone has a great week out there. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this next week as I get further and further away from the inflammation event within my body and seeing what my number is next week. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'll talk to you later.